appetizers of success. Put an app in for greatness and patience told me this well. Okay. Look for action and practice to get a hold of yourself. Yeah. Time is of the essence and every. What it do, baby?
So dope. The crazy part about this, the birthday stories is my birthday is coming up October 28th, so you know, wish me happy birthday.
Ryan's 21st birthday. I threw him a surprise party at my house. I invited all of our friends in our group, plus some acquaintances and friends of friends who were brought along. My parents weren't home for the night, so it worked out nicely. The peak of the night was when Ryan walked in the door and all of us got to scream surprise. It was a Friday night, so mostly everyone drank a decent amount.
I don't know if I've ever had a surprise birthday party before.
Anyone was doing something dumb in my parents' house. We had cake and other desserts.
I don't know if I'd want a surprise birthday party.
I did a lot of walking around offering cake and beers to everyone, even people I'd never met before, including one guy with long blonde hair and a football shirt sitting on my couch, and some dude who looked a few years older sitting on my grandma's old rocking chair that she gave to my mom. I whispered into Ryan's ear at some point that half these random dudes that our friends brought over looked either kind of creepy or odd. He agreed with me, a bit over-enthusiastically, but that's probably because he was a lot drunker than I was. The night progressed and everyone got drunker, and everyone was doing increasingly silly and dumb things. The guy who was still in the rocking chair started to hum a song really loudly and obnoxiously. The rest of us just watched and found it hilarious for some reason. Then the guy with the long blonde hair started to sing a completely different song, and everyone else kind of just joined along. It was a room full of drunk 20-something-year-olds singing very loudly. It was a fun time, but eventually it had to end. The people started leaving one by one as they sobered up. A couple of people stayed the night because they were too drunk to drive, including Ryan and our friend Sean.
I don't know, I'm just thinking church hymns for some reason.
We left the TV on, with the movie The Hangover on in the background. I suddenly thought to ask you two, who were those two guys who had been in the living room, on the couch, and in the rocking chair most of the night? Sean said the guy with the long blonde hair was a friend of one of our other friends, but as far as the guy in the rocking chair, neither of them had a clue. I decided to text everyone in the group chat we had made prior to the surprise party to find out who was friends with this creepy dude in the rocking chair.
It'd be the background music that made me paranoid.
Our friends said
that made me look behind me and stuff.
It seemed everyone assumed he knew someone there, but apparently that wasn't the case. I was waiting on two more friends to answer, but I was pretty sure one of them had to have known him. Anyway, Sean and Ryan fell asleep quickly, so I decided to go to sleep too. I woke up an hour later.
Okay, so
I guess to the sound of the
didn't know
TV.
who the dude was.
I checked my phone, which was sitting on my chest. There were a bunch of texts from the group chat. To put it short, every single person in the group chat said they had no idea who that was. I sat up to let that sink in better. Some random, creepy-looking older dude snuck into my house and hid in plain sight for hours.
And was humming.
I suddenly looked around the living room, lit up by the glow of the TV. I felt as if my entire house was unsafe and that we weren't alone. I quietly stepped out from the living room towards the kitchen. I went over to the tiny hall that separates the kitchen from the 3 bedrooms on the first floor, still using the glow from the TV in the living room as my light source to navigate. I think because I didn't want to draw attention, I guess. I stepped into the hall and froze. I was pretty sure I could see something at the end of the hall. It was too dark, though. I took a couple steps forward, and it became more clear that there was a person standing there at the end of the hall.
Bruh.
And to make it even worse, I heard a faint, low, cackling kind of laugh at the far end of the hall. I slowly backed away without acting fazed at all. Meanwhile, I felt like my heart dropped to my stomach. I got back to the living room and shook my 2 friends awake.
Right, that's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do.
I got on the phone with the police and talked as low as I could into the phone so that the woman on the other end could still hear me. And as I was on the phone, I saw the creepy guy from earlier, the guy who was on the rocking chair all night, suddenly walk out to the living room, look at us sitting there, passed us, and walked out the front door. I was literally frozen. I think my friends were too. I told the 911 operator that the intruder just left my house. She said lock all the doors and we should be fine.
Bruh.
The cop came by for a few minutes just to check in. After he left, my friends and I found a trail of blood stains on the carpet in the hallway. The stains led to the end of the hall, where I saw him standing. Then it just stopped. Needless to say, no sleep was had that night.
Blood stains. Blood stains.
I'm sure we all have those memories from our childhood that make us uncomfortable to think about. How we were so young and innocent and unknowing to something bad.
We're
that was
gonna have to
about
review
happen.
these.
I was in the first grade.
Should have
It was
paused
either
it.
a Friday or Saturday night. All I know is we didn't have school the next day. My friend's mom set up a little party for his birthday at a local bowling alley.
They just
All
let
his
the
friends and
story
their
like
parents were there, and we were sectioned off into different lanes to play with different groups. I wasn't having a lot of fun, mainly because I stunk at bowling, and still do to this day. I remember complaining
I
and
haven't
crying to my
bowled
mom
in
that
so
I didn't
long.
want to play anymore, and I think one of the kids started taking my turn for me. There was a back room sectioned off for the party with a bunch of snacks, sweets, and sodas. So while my mom was talking to some of the other parents, I think that's when I snuck to that back room to fill my stomach with cupcakes and other sweets. There was a door leading to the outside in this room. It led to the back of the building, I guess. And the next thing I remember was the moment a man was standing at the doorway telling me to come outside and check something out. To this
Wait.
day, it still makes me cringe, thinking back and remembering that I actually listened to the random man and went out there.
Wait.
Upon stepping outside, the man knelt down to my level so that we were face to face. Then he pointed at a truck that was running, maybe 5 yards away. I remember
Bruh.
he said he had the rest of the
This
sweets
is a
and
real
snacks in
thing.
the back of his truck, and he needed help unloading it. He also offered to give me a $20 reward if I helped him. Now, I'm sure in my 6-year-old mindset, I was thinking about how cool I'd look, and how jealous all the
This
other
is
kids
a
would
real
be.
thing.
I followed the man to his truck. He opened the back door for me and pointed at a big black plastic bag sitting in his back seat. I climbed into the truck, and the next thing I remember was the horrific, ear-piercing scream of a woman. It was my mom, standing at the back doorway of the bowling alley, screaming my name over and over. I ran to my mom, who grabbed me and held me tight as I heard the sound of tires skidding out, followed by a truck speeding away. I turned to
Wow.
look, and the truck was already gone.
Wow.
My mom was in
So
tears, scolding me. A
blessed.
few other parents and kids came out, and it turned into a huge scene. It was a traumatizingly embarrassing experience for me. The bowling alley had to shut operations for the night, and the party had to be cut short.
That's wow.
I've asked my
bruh.
mom about this story so many times. She said the police arrived after my dad picked me up, and my mom told the police everything I told her. She also got a decent look at the man and his truck, so she gave a description to the police as well. Unfortunately, nothing was ever heard as far as the police catching him. All I have to say is, if any of you are parents, burn the phrase "don't talk to strangers" into your kids' heads.
Real quick. That stuff grinds my gears, bruh. Like, all of it. All of it. I just don't understand what possesses somebody to do any of it. Like, I don't want to go into details. I don't want to get demonetized. But, like, bruh. Like, I was, like, pissed off, like, from the core just now. But, like, y'all can't see it. But, yeah. Alright, let's start. Let's go back. Let's go back. Alright.
For my son's
Story
12th birthday,
I'm
my
good.
wife and I threw him a little party in the backyard. We invited the whole family, as we usually did for any of our kids' birthdays, and let him invite all of his friends too. We live in rural New Jersey, so our backyard connects to forest on 2 sides. We also have a pretty big property, which allowed us to space out a bunch of tables on the grass with food and refreshments. The little party went into the night. Most of our guests left, but closer family and some of our friends stayed late. It was probably 8 o'clock. The mosquitoes were out in full force, so I decided to run over to the shed at the far end of the backyard by the woods to fetch the tiki torches. I grabbed like 6 torches and set them on the grass while I went back in to look for fuel. However, while I was in the
Okay.
shed, I heard steps in the woods. I stopped what I was doing to take a look out there, but honestly, it was just too dark to see out into the woods. After finding the fuel, I went back to the part of the yard everyone else was at and pitched the torches into the ground.
If my backyard is facing the woods
while keeping us safe from
and like it's nothing but woods, I'm definitely going to have a weapon.
There were about 6 kids left, including my son.
Like,
they all wanted to play hide and seek in the woods.
You know what I mean? Plentiful.
My wife and I allowed it, just making sure to tell them to stay close to the tree line.
I'm pretty sure
son and his
everybody
friends went
that
to play their little game in the woods,
lives
which
near
left the rest
woods
of us to sit in peace for a little
has
bit.
stuff like that.
It was a solid 15 minutes of talking with relatives and hearing the kids laughing and yelling in the near distance
and
out in
things
the
of
woods.
that nature.
But all of a sudden, the yelling turned to screams, concerning sounding screams from the kids. All of us looked at each other, sitting up in concern. The kids one by one came running out of the woods, yelling that there's something in there. We don't have bears or any big predatory animals around here, so that was not the first thing we assumed it to be. I told all the kids to stay near the patio area. My brother Dom and I, being the biggest men there, decided to go investigate. We took a couple flashlights and off we went into the pitch black woods. The only sounds we heard around us were crickets and other night bugs. So we went deeper.
And things of that
nature. That's when we
nature.
started to hear something else. It sounded like an animal at first, but as we followed the sound to get closer, the sound started to become more human-like. We continued to walk, and we agreed we both had the feeling that we were being watched, like stalked. I put my arm out to stop Dom. Standing in the silence now, the best way I could describe the sound we were hearing was a moaning, angry kind of sound. It sounded human, but it was a bizarre sound. Then, a few cracks of the leaves on the ground ahead of us. We aimed our lights over there, and there was someone or something behind the tree. The moaning sound stopped. Dom stepped forward and called out. What happened next was textbook horror movie stuff.
What happened? Oh no,
so
bruh.
Loud, so blood-curdling, so inhuman, filled the air. I'm sure it could be heard for miles.
Did you freeze or did you
Dom
run
and I
there?
turned and
What were
booked it back
time
to the
there?
property. We waved at everyone to go inside when we made it back.
Okay.
Tom got on the phone with the
Lock the
sheriff's
doors,
department.
lock the windows.
They said it was probably a wild animal. We wanted to insist it was a human, but we honestly couldn't. We to this day don't know who or what we saw and heard in those woods, but it was definitely stalking us and the kids when they were playing hide and seek. And that scream we heard, it just didn't sound human to us.
That's wild. That's wild. I feel like stories like that really like get to the people that like live in the woods. You know what I mean? Like my first time hearing the Mothman story, I was at my uncle and aunt's house. They live deep in the woods, and like big house, but it's like, you know what I mean, it's in the cut. And my first time hearing the Mothman story, that shit like got to me, cause I was like, yo, we it's nothing but with trees surrounding us. You know what I mean? Like I don't even want to go outside right now. But anywho, man, what other part of the story? The second story, when the dude walked out of the house, like he was standing in the hallway, walked out of the house while you on the phone with the police. Like, what in the middle of the night just walks out? Like, oh my goodness, bruh. That's the wildest shit. Like, I didn't say nothing when during the story, but like, bruh, what, bruh? That's crazy. But if y'all want to see more of these, let me know in the comment section below. Please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. I know you watching the video. Just subscribe to the channel, bruh. But I will see y'all in the next video.
Wakey, wakey,
shit ain't easy and no heads and baby. Said it's love, but I know they hate me. Keep it real, but you can't relate me. Look for you, can you motivate me? Time is money, I don't got no saving. Real love, yeah, we all be craving. Said it once, I don't do no chasing, but that's a long story for later. So low, had to climb that ladder, hurt you once. Yeah, out here out of chatter, get a gun, make a motherfucker scatter. Eating good, yeah, I got me a platter. Life good, but I went through disaster. Keep it real, now you niggas can copy. Spending shorty, yeah, she calling me Poppy. Fuck the ones, and I went to her mommy. He'll figure, cause I stay with the time.